Hi there, welcome back to Apatros Review. In this episode, Krites 4, directed by Rupert Harvey in the year 1992. Hi there, welcome back to the final film review of Apatros Review for the year 2020. I still have like 3 more episodes to do and different topics in the next couple of weeks, and then next year, well, a whole new bunch of films. Now, I'm your host, Milo Sipka, and join me as I'm taking a ride through the wild world of science fiction action horror. In this episode, we look at the film Krites 4, which was the last of the pre-millennial Krites films. There was one film that was released in a few years ago that's a sequel, but it was not by New Line Cinema, but directed by the original rights holders. Anyway, this film was a direct-to-video feature and it came out in 1992. Now, the disc was released for Roadshow Entertainment and also Warner Brothers Home Video with the collaboration with New Line a few years later. I'll explain that later. Anyway, this fourth, or last, at least it was until the appearance of Krites Attack a close century later, entering the rather lightweight Krites series, as the hallmarks of a franchise has practically run out of ideas. The series' modus operandi involved small alien furballs with plenty of sharp teeth and a vicious appetite attacking a group of people, much like the cult success of Friday the 13th series. In a last-ditch effort to make something new out of the franchise, or to wring every last drop from the series, producers Rupert Harvey and Barry Opper decided to start a minor trend during 1990s sci-fi and horror films by sending its final entry in space, a tactic used by everyone from Project Shadow Chaser 3, Hellraiser Bloodline, and the fourth Leprechaun film, as well as Jason X, which will also use that tactic as well, but was made a decade after that trend died down. When we last left off at the end of Krites 3, bounty hunter Charlie McFadden was instructed by fellow hunter Ugg, appearing via hologram, to place the last 2 remaining Krite eggs he had discovered in the ruins of the Topeka apartment building into a specimen retrieval pod that had just landed. This was originally shown in the credits sequence in Krites 3, but was recapped here, with a little bit of alteration to the scene. Some of the dialogue is a little bit different. But by some sort of error, the pod blasts off into space with Charlie and the eggs still on board. Alien incompetence in technology. The pod stays drifting in space for the next 53 years. In 2045, a deep space salvage crew on their way to Earth for some well-earned rest. That's like, what, 20 years from now? They come across the pod along the way. Bringing the pod aboard, the captain believes that because the Intergalactic Council has since dissolved, the pod is thereby his. Basically, find its keepers. But after his crew inform him that the new galactic owner, TerraCore, might have some rights to the pod, and they actually contacted TerraCore, they are instructed to head to a nearby space station with payment, and not to open the pod. Upon arriving at the station, the crew is shocked to discover that the station has been abandoned for months, and that its nuclear reactor has decayed to the point that it will melt down in a few hours. As the crew nervously wait for TerraCore's team to arrive, the greedy captain breaches the pod, and in doing so frees Charlie and the 2 newly hatched Krites from the cryogenic hibernation. Now, while not exactly a film destined for cult status or even considered superior to the original in any way, Krites 4 is a pretty average sci-fi horror flick that adheres to the formula pioneered by Alien pretty closely. There is a salvage crew on board a derelict spacecraft, in this case an abandoned space station, trying to fend off alien terrors while duplicitous corporation tries to obtain the monsters for its own ends, usually for the old bullshit reason of bioweapons research. If Wayland Yutani could do it in alien films, these guys could too. As such, it's pretty ordinary stuff. What makes this one more noticeable than the previous films is that the acting is very good given the mercenary nature of the film. Angela Bassett and Brad Dourif are by far the best actors in the cast, and both had run-ins with the Oscar, Academy Awards in some way, and everyone else performed admirably as well, including series mainstays Don Upper and Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann basically becoming a villain now. Ugg turns bad. Of course, it was like 53 years since his last encounter with Charlie. And the effects are probably the best of the franchise so far. Now, Krites 4 gets a C, a 4 out of 10, ranking as an average entry in the series. Now, for the gore, there's some little bloody bite wounds in the Krites victims, as with the previous films. And as for nudity, well, Angela Bassett, she beds her butt in the shower scene and knocks the greedy captain onto his. Now for the DVD. Like all the previous Krites films, this was released onto Region 4 DVD twice. First for Roadshow Entertainment, and my dog's kind of barking all of a sudden. Now the review copy in this episode is of the Roadshow Entertainment disc, the original one, and the second time for New Line Entertainment as part of the distribution deal of Warner Home Video. The Roadshow disc has a pretty good looking 185 anamorphic frame that looks good, although this could be either cropped in the VHS print's 1:33 ratio or that VHS print was a cropped one. I can't say for certain. Anyway, the picture has no real issues to report, but the print does show its age in certain rare moments. The soundtrack comes in two options: the original English stereo or a nicely remixed 5:1 track that gives the sound effects some added oomph, and both sound fine. There are English subtitles and captions, and the only supplement are the trailers for all four classic Krites films, which all look like they were featured in VHS tapes at the time. So to recap, Krites 4 gets a C, 4 out of 10. It's average at best. Now, I should point out, I've actually owned all four of the classic Krites films on VHS at one point or another. That was a long time ago I had those. And, yeah, if you want to get this film, the Roadshow disc review disc is quite good. While the New Line disc I haven't checked out. Of course, there are Blu-rays available all the Krites films at the moment. Okay, that's it for Krites 4. That's it for my film reviews for this year. I'm going to do a D Spectrum after this, and a two-part for year review. I'm going to review the year 2020, as if it was a movie. I hope you guys are staying safe. Well, right now in New South Wales, having a bit of a cluster coming out of the coronavirus in the northern beaches. That's weird how it came out from an American strain of the coronavirus. And it looks like Christmas is going to be interrupted for a few people. Anyway, since Christmas is only like 4 days away, so I'll do one episode on Christmas Eve. I think that'll be D Spectrum 6. Anyway, as always, I don't do requests, but if you want to know of a particular film in my collection, just hit me up in the comments section. I'll answer. Hope you guys are staying safe. Take care, and that's it for this review.